Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com, kind of motoring through this Kevin Gilbert series of videos, and today, second to last one to make before I rank them, and that's not good. Before I do a ranking video, and I think I'm going to end up doing that video I talked about where I do the songs. In fact, I was thinking about the ranking video of these albums, and maybe I'll do just one video of all the songs too, like my favorite top 10, top 20 songs. Probably be 20 because 10 is not enough. So it's The Power of Suggestion, the first Giraffe album. I forgot to mention yesterday when I was talking about Nuts and Bolts. I believe it was released in October of 2009. Maybe when I go through the ranking, I'll list all the release dates if I can get them again. But I don't have a date, but I also don't have an exact date for the Giraffe album, The Power of Suggestion, just like The View from Here. The weird thing about it is, so you can see, like, this version, this is the re-release that I got, that it's still available on Pop Plus One. It says 1987. It says 1987. So, you know, understanding the facts with Kevin's estate. I know Gruno, Wayne Perez does a lot of really good stuff trying to make this stuff as clear as possible. But, you read through the book and like the box sets, the box set that I got, it talks about the formation of Giraffe. And that podcast they did on You Are Here on Giraffe. And the band, as like the 5-piece member band, was not a full of Giraffe. Not all together until 1988, until January of 1988. However, the 1987, what I concluded is this. There were songs here that were actually recorded in 87, for sure. And, like, they were given to the bass player, Chris Beveridge, I believe, before he joined the band in 88, in January of 88. But I don't know if this was actually officially released as a CD until 88. Is it 87, 88? This is a little bit like one of those things where it's like a European and U.S. release, like Blackfield or Ocean Size's Everyone Position and Muse and The Last Handed Kites. Is this a 1987 album or is it a 1988 album? I'm going with 1988 because the band wasn't officially all together in 1988. It may have been released as like promotional copies or through just hand distribution in 87, sometime late in 87. The thing is, it's like, because Chris Beveridge is not on this, so I don't remember who played the bass. This doesn't even have that. Who played the bass on this album? Chris Beveridge plays the bass on The View from Here, and he plays it on the live DVD and the live version of Giraffe. But it's weird. I've got it pulled up right here. The credits. It doesn't say. But let's see if I go forward. Oh, it won't let me do that, of course. Anyway, well, I'll just get into it. So this is the debut album from Giraffe, and the more I've read about it, I haven't read everything like this, every account in here. I think I did read it in the box set, but Giraffe was kind of like Kevin Gilbert's attempt after he'd been with Eddie Money, and obviously he'd done N.R.G. And they formed the band and stuff, and they came up with the name with Robert Ferris, I mentioned. But Robert Ferris was never part of this version of Giraffe. After he left, he was sort of part of what wasn't Giraffe, but Jackal or whatever. But it was kind of just Kevin's attempt to just like do a studio project that try to make it into the industry. It's like, look, I'll get these really great musicians to play with me. We'll write this kind of music, and then I'll shop this around, and I'll get some connections, which, if you think about what happened with Toy Matinee, actually did kind of work. And then, of course, they won the Yamaha contest, and he met Pat Leonard, because Pat Leonard was one of the judges on the Yamaha Battle of the Bands contest. So it's sort of confusing. I mean, that podcast gives a lot of history and details about Giraffe, but it's confusing the exact sort of, when they formed, certain members formed, and when a lot of these songs were recorded. How many of these songs were recorded just by Kevin or with certain members? I guess it's maybe overthinking, overanalyzing a little bit, but So just talking about this record, I really like this record a lot, of course. And I think when I got the box set last year in 2021, I was listening to it. I kind of, in revisiting, because I'd heard it before, I obviously got the 2012 version that I have around here. I'd listen to it. I always kind of, lean more toward the View from Here between the two of them, but I always liked this album a lot. The vocals, Kevin's vocals are a little higher on this. I think on the View from Here, he's more closer to the range he got used to singing at, although he was still changing to an extent, but I grew to appreciate this album just last year, even getting the box set. But I would just say Image Maker, of course, the original first version of Image Maker, I believe, and This Warm Night, of course. The singles they did a video for This Warm Night, and Because of You, the Dottie Dodo song. Those are sort of the trademark tracks on here. But there's a certain sort of cohesiveness, cinematic quality, theatrical quality with the different snippets, sound bites, and intro parts, and it's almost like vignettes, but not vignettes. It's a classic case of songs that have things tacked at the beginning and at the end to sort of add more to the sort of listening experience. But I can say The World Just Gets Smaller, which is on Nuts, is a much different version, and his vocals are much higher. I still like this version that's on here, and some of the other tracks, like The Last Thing on Your Mind, and In Every Line, I really like the guitar solo in that song. Stan Cody's guitar solo, among other parts of that song. In Every Line is kind of one I've probably not listened to enough. I don't know if it'll make my top 20 Kevin Gilbert tracks, but it's certainly up there. Everything We Are, The Last Thing on Your Mind, I was just thinking about that song. It sounds a lot like an 80s pop song that I'm not thinking of, I can't think of it at the moment, but it does remind me of one of those. New Patriots is just a little ditty. It's almost like a ballad. Talking about patriots. A lot of war, they wrote about in Welcome Home on the next record on The View from Here is very kind of militaristic, sort of political and, government-based, sort of anti-government based. And then Can't Make This Love Go Away. I could say that track is... I'll show the track list again. That track, is the most different song on here, or anything from Giraffe. Not that it's super weird, it just doesn't sound... It sounds like a song that... there are other songs that Kevin wrote around the same time that probably would have been more like Giraffe. But it's not a bad song, I just think it almost is like the red herring of this record. And then, of course, you get the Power Reprise, Because of You 11th Hour mix, which takes parts of, not just Because of You, of course, but This Warm Night and Image Maker. And then the finale, which is the last track on Bolts, is that same kind of thing, but with vocals, as I mentioned on the Nuts Bolts review yesterday. But the thing is that remix is really it's really good. It's sounds like a little ahead of its time. You didn't hear about remixes and dance mixes and as much at the point this came out in, I still think it's 88, but whatever, late 87. But it is. It sounds like a song that you'd hear on a B-side of a Madonna 12-inch single or something like that. I mean, not stylistically, I'm just saying that remix idea. And I'm surprised when this album came out that was actually included, but everything online shows that song and the Power Reprise, which is just a little intro, are both on it. So the other thing I was just wondering, is thinking about the fact that you had these CDs as the first independently released CD of all time, known at least. But was there a vinyl version, which I guess there probably wasn't originally. I think when this came out, N.R.G, No Reasons Given, the first album he did, came out on vinyl. Was pressed on vinyl, and probably the original idea where they were going to put this on vinyl, but That was the whole thing. He wanted to distribute it, and maybe they made it onto the Yamaha. They probably made it onto the Yamaha competition because they had the CD, and it impressed. That's what they were talking about in that podcast. It impressed some of the label reps probably enough for the people that were in charge of the competition. But so yeah, this is. I mean, it's a debut album. The 5 members: J. Scott Smith, the drummer. Scott. Why am I spacing on? I should just open this up. The keyboard player. I should know the members of Giraffe since I've been seeing Cody, of course, on guitars, and Kevin played keyboards and sang and, bouzouki or whatever else sometimes live. It was Michael Above, that's who I'm not thinking about. But, so I guess if you think about that, it was just the 4 of them. Maybe Kevin played the bass, or maybe Stan did? I don't know. I mean, I've had read through this book enough to, it doesn't take me that long, but it would tell, like, who played what on this first record. Because, I mean, there's a picture of the guys. But again, Chris Beveridge did not play on this. He auditioned to play bass, as they said in that podcast, and he learned all the songs. They had already been recorded. I was just thinking maybe they gave him like a tape, like a demo tape. But, maybe it had been released in late '87. He was able to do that, but they didn't have a bass player. And I didn't see that on. Okay, here we go. I need the credits for. See, the credits in here are not in the individual disc versions. So this will answer my question. Because there's other people that played on this. That was the other thing I remember from the podcast. They had all these different people, including Robert Ferris, I believe, is on 1 or 2 songs. Oliver Harris. Yeah, Robert Ferris plays keyboards on This Warm Night. I think he wrote that song or co-wrote it with Kevin. But who played the bass? Gig Garcia. A bunch of different people played the bass on this record. Which is just weird. It was like bass by committee, I mean, because Kevin, of course, later plays the bass. Like, he played some bass on Thud, probably on Shaming, too. And, of course, live he was playing bass a lot. But, and this was 7-8 years before then. This is when he was 21 years old. The Power of Suggestion. He wasn't maybe playing as much bass at that point, so... Anyway, so that's it for The Power of Suggestion. There's one more, which, as I came to conclude, I don't want these videos to go 25, 35, 40 minutes long, but it's one more, Kevin Gilbert album video to make. It's going to be probably in 2 parts. So, and I don't know if it'll be this week because my schedule, the next 2 days is not going to really lend to be able to do anything with video, probably. And Friday is Friday. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see. I'll surprise myself and maybe have a chance to actually make the final video, and then the ranking would be next week. I'm not sure. I'm kind of in parallel where I'm winding down with watching The Expanse, and I've got 12 episodes left. So it's like, well, I'll be done with the Kevin videos or Expanse first. But yeah, like I think I'll do besides the ranking, I'll do the whole songs, Kevin songs, rewritten, re-recorded thing. And then maybe I'll do a song, like a top songs video. I didn't think to mention that. But anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.